An uneasy standoff between Australia's online policewoman and Elon Musk's powerful social media platform X over posts concerning the stabbing of an Assyrian Orthodox bishop last week continued today, with the E-Safety Commissioner moving against X in court late this afternoon. E-Safety Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant issued a clear warning to X and Musk last week.
I have issued a notice to X Corp requiring them to move this content. A legal notice will also be sent to Meta this afternoon, and further notices will likely follow. I will not hesitate to use further graduated powers at my disposal if there was continued non-compliance.
This afternoon, Inman-Grant took action in the federal court, arguing that instead of deleting violent imagery, X had only geo-blocked it and had therefore not complied with the law to the extent it could have. Things had escalated on the weekend. The social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, announced on its own platform that it did not believe Inman-Grant's order was within the scope of the Australian law, but that it had complied with the directive pending a legal challenge, saying the takedown order was a threat to free speech. A declaration further escalated with a personal message from Elon Musk in a tweet that has had close to 10 million views. Whatever the rights or wrongs of the platform's actions or the Commissioner's response, the two parties are even at odds over what exactly is in dispute here. The E-Safety Commissioner has asked X to remove vision of Assyrian Orthodox Bishop Mar Murray Emanuel being stabbed at his church in Sydney last week, not commentary about what happened. X said in its post on Saturday that it had been ordered, quote, to remove certain posts in Australia that publicly commented on the recent attack against a Christian bishop. These posts did not violate X's rules on violent speech.
The most important thing is that the Safety Commissioner has power to issue removal notices to social media services to effectively remove harmful material as assessed by the Commissioner from their social media sites.
The brawl has once again thrown into question whether regulators have sufficient powers to do their work.
The primary challenge for E-Safety Commissioner is the extent to which they can actually enact these penalties. It doesn't have quite the teeth that it needs to really force, in particular, big tech to act. These are companies that make billions of dollars a year, with incredibly powerful owners who are very bullish in their response to any attempt to regulate them.
The enforcement powers currently available to the E-Safety Commissioner include formal warnings, enforceable undertakings, injunctions, infringement notices and civil penalties. In the most extreme circumstances, the Commissioner may apply to the Federal Court to order that a platform like X stop supplying its service in Australia.
That could be the ultimate result. I mean, obviously, what the Commissioner does is to serve removal notices in relation to specific material, but ultimately, if that wasn't having an effect and the material was pervasive within the social media agency or platform, then it would be possible to remove the platform altogether.
The subject of hate speech, freedom of speech, misinformation, disinformation, and the general question of the place of social media in public debate has been rapidly evolving over the last 5 years, as have the laws attempting to place some guardrails around how to deal with it. But the much more difficult and contentious questions concern disinformation, such as deliberately false information designed to incite people, and misinformation, the often unwitting distribution of false information. In the wake of the Bondi stabbings, false allegations spread that the killer was either a Muslim or a young Jewish man from Bondi, who was widely named but who had nothing to do with the attack.
So someone who may have picked up on, for example, sharing of the false identification of the Bondi attacker and seen it and gone and shared it, but we don't know about the people who may have identified that particular individual on the basis of their religious background, for example, and deliberately shared it in an attempt to incite some sort of backlash against that wider community, and in this case, the Jewish community.
The horrific events of recent weeks have started to change the political conversation.
I think there's been an acknowledgement on both sides of politics, and in recent times, more bipartisanship around just the sheer challenge that we're facing as a nation. The fact that We're seeing so much the dissemination of so much online extremism and hate, but also the way that that's impacting our wider level of, sort of trust in government, trust in our political institutions and our wider societal level institutions.
There seemed to be a conspicuous change of tone over the weekend from the opposition leader, who last year attacked the government's proposed misinformation laws as an attack on free speech.
I think there's a bipartisan position in relation to this. We know that the companies, and we've seen some of the comments from Elon Musk overnight, they see themselves above the law.
Others in politics are also moving.
The online tech thugs are operating in as if it's the Wild West. Elon Musk should front up to the Australian people. He should front up here to Parliament and argue why his company shouldn't have a social conscience and shouldn't be doing the right thing. I don't think he has the guts to do it, frankly, but he should.
Not everyone in politics is on board, though. Pauline Hanson released a statement this afternoon accusing Mr Dutton of letting down conservative Australians who valued their freedom of speech and privacy by signalling he wanted a, quote, crackdown on free speech on social media. The government is currently reviewing the legislation to see if more needs to be done.
If the laws are inadequate and they need to be strengthened or added to, then we would support any effort from the government.